Firefox OS is a Linux kernel-based open-source operating system for smartphones and tablet computers and is set to be used on smart TVs. It is being developed by Mozilla, the non-profit organization best known for the Firefox web browser. Firefox OS is designed to provide a complete community-based alternative system for mobile devices, using open standards and approaches such as HTML5 applications, JavaScript, a robust privilege model, open web APIs to communicate directly with cell phone hardware, and application marketplace. As such, it competes with commercially developed operating systems such as Apple's iOS, Google's Android, Microsoft's Windows Phone and Jolla's Sailfish OS, as well as other community-based open-source systems such as Ubuntu Touch. Firefox OS was publicly demonstrated in February 2012, on Android-compatible smartphones. In January 2013, at CES 2013, ZTE confirmed they would be shipping a smartphone with Firefox OS, and on July 2, 2013, Telefacube launched the first commercial Firefox OS-based phone, ZTE Open, in Spain, which was quickly followed by Geek's Phone's Peak Plus. Mozilla has also partnered with T2 Mobile to make a Firefox OS reference phone dubbed Flame, which is designed for developers to contribute to Firefox OS and to test apps. Project inception and rollout. Commencement of project. On July 25, 2011, Andreas Gall, Director of Research at Mozilla Corporation, announced the Boot to Gecko project on the Mozilla Dev Platform mailing list. The project proposal was to pursue the goal of building a complete, standalone operating system for the open web in order to find the gaps that keep web developers from being able to build apps that are in every way the equals of native apps built for the iPhone, Android, and Windows Phone 7. The announcement identified these work areas: new web APIs to expose device and OS capabilities such as telephone and camera, a privilege model to safely expose these to web pages, applications to prove these capabilities, and low-level code to boot on an Android-compatible device. This led to much blog coverage. According to Ars Technica, Mozilla says that B2G is motivated by a desire to demonstrate that the standards-based open web has the potential to be a competitive alternative to the existing single-vendor application development stacks offered by the dominant mobile operating systems. In 2012, Andreas Gall expanded on Mozilla's aims. He characterized the current set of mobile OS systems as walled gardens, and presented Firefox OS as more accessible. We use completely open standards and theory unregistered trademark no proprietary software or technology involved. Gall also said that because the software stack is entirely HTML5, there are already a large number of established developers. This assumption is employed in Mozilla's Web API. These are intended W3C standards that attempt to bridge the capability gap that currently exists between native frameworks and web applications. The goal of these efforts is to enable developers to build applications using Web API which would then run in any standards-compliant browser without the need to rewrite their application for each platform. Development history. In July 2012, Boot to Gecko was rebranded as Firefox OS, after Mozilla's well-known desktop browser, Firefox, and screenshots began appearing in August 2012. In September 2012, strategy analysts forecast that Firefox OS would account for 1% of the global smartphone market in 2013, its first year of commercial availability. In February 2013, Mozilla announced plans for global commercial rollout of Firefox OS. Mozilla announced at a press conference before the start of Mobile World Congress in Barcelona that the first wave of Firefox OS devices will be available to consumers in Brazil, Colombia, Hungary, Mexico, Montenegro, Poland, Serbia, Spain and Venezuela. Mozilla has also announced that LG Electronics, ZTE, Huawei and TCL Corporation have committed to making Firefox OS devices. In December 2013, new features were added with the 1.2 release, including conference calling, silent SMS authentication for mobile billing, improved push notifications, and 3-state setting for Do Not Track. Async pan and zoom, included in version 1.3, should improve user interface responsiveness. The major work will be on the optimization of Firefox OS running on a 128 MB platform in version 1.3t. Demonstrations. At Mobile World Congress 2012, Mozilla and Telefónica announced that the Spanish telecommunications provider intended to deliver open web devices in 2012 based on HTML5 and these APIs. Mozilla also announced support for the project from Adobe and Qualcomm, and that Deutsche Telekom, a unregistered trademark S Innovation Labs, will join the project. Mozilla demonstrated a sneak preview of the software and apps running on Samsung Galaxy S2 phones. In August 2012, a Nokia employee demonstrated the OS running on a Raspberry Pi. Firefox OS is compatible with a number of devices, including Otoro, Panda Board, Emulator, Desktop, Nexus S, Nexus S4G, Samsung Galaxy S2, Galaxy Nexus and Nexus 4. In December 2012, Mozilla rolled out another update and released Firefox OS Simulator 1.0, which can be downloaded as an add-on for Firefox. The latest version of Firefox OS Simulator, version 4.0, was released on July 3, 2013 and announced on July 11, 2013. Mozilla's $25 Firefox smartphone displayed at MWC, is built by Spraytrum. Mozilla has collaborated with 4 handset makers and 5 wireless carriers to provide 5 Firefox-powered smartphones in Europe and Latin America so far. In India, Mozilla is launching the $25 in partnership with Intex and Spice, announced the company. Core technologies. The initial development work involves 4 major software layers. Gonk, a Euro platform denomination for a combination of the Linux kernel and the HAL from Android. Gecko, a Euro, the web browser engine and application runtime services layer. Zoolrunner, a Euro, the runtime system for anything written in XUL. Gaia, a Euro, an HTML5 layer and user interface system. Gonk, Gonk consists of a Linux kernel and user space hardware abstraction layer. The kernel and several user space libraries are common open source projects, Linux, libUSB, BlueZ, etc. Some other parts of the HAL are shared with the Android project, GPS, camera, among others. Gonk is basically an extremely simple Linux distribution and is therefore, from Gecko's perspective, simply a porting target of Gecko. There is a port of Gecko to Gonk, just like there is a port of Gecko to OS X, and a port of Gecko to Android. However, since the development team have full control over Gonk, the developers can fully expose all the features and interfaces required for comprehensive mobile platforms such as Gecko, but which aren't currently possible to access on other mobile OSs. For example, using Gonk, Gecko can obtain direct access to the full telephony stack and display frame buffer, but doesn't have this access on any other OS. Gecko. Gecko is the web browser engine of Firefox OS. Gecko implements open standards for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Gecko includes a networking stack, graphics stack, layout engine, virtual machine, and porting layers. Zoolrunner. Zoolrunner is the runtime system for anything written in XUL, especially any Firefox add-ons. Gaia is the user interface of Firefox OS and controls everything drawn to screen. Gaia includes by default implementations of a lock screen, home screen, telephone dialer and contacts application, text messaging application, camera application and a gallery support, plus the classic phone apps, mail, calendar, calculator and marketplace. Gaia is written entirely in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It interfaces with the operating system through open web APIs, which are implemented by Gecko. Because it uses only standard web APIs, it can work on other OSs and other web browsers. Release history, criticisms. Chris Ziegler of the technology blog The Verge wrote that Firefox OS will take up distribution to pre-iPhone era, requiring application developers to deal with multiple carriers and their app stores. But at the Mobile World Congress, Gary Kovacs, the CEO of Mozilla, said that the devices matter less than what they're able to run. Apps make or break a mobile platform these days, not hardware, and the advantage is that users don't have to install an app to use it. Mozilla is making the most of this with the search functionality built into Firefox OS, a core feature of the platform. Jan Lindqvist, a mobile security researcher at the Rutgers University WinLab, expressed concerns related to the discovery mechanism of a web-based platform, but a Mozilla spokesperson has stated that they are requiring developers to package downloadable apps in a zip file that has been cryptographically signed by the store from which it originated, assuring that it has been reviewed. In addition, apps coming back from search are given only limited access to device programming interfaces and applications, unless the user grants permission for further access. Unofficially supported devices. The structural similarities between Firefox OS and Android allow the Mozilla platform to run on a number of devices that ship with Android. Whilst some ports of Firefox OS are hardly different from their original versions, others are heavily modified to fit the device in question. Firefox OS has been ported to the following devices: Sony XPERIASP, see also, Comparison of mobile operating systems, List of Firefox OS devices, HTML5 in mobile devices, references. External links, official Firefox OS website, Firefox OS project page on MDN, latest build version of Firefox OS simulator, Mozilla Maker, HTML5 app development party.